All right. There we go. The King Apollo was there in spirit. We're
Love it.
back. What in the Metaverse podcast, episode 11. We all just got back from 3XP. So we're having a little bit of a creator panel here. We have Dub and we also have Mind Your Biz here as our special guests. And we have Ghost Cat here as our special little guest host. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yeah. Oh, pleasure. Thanks for the invite. It was great getting to hang out. The IRL events, man. I mean, we spend so much time at the workstation or at the gaming console or in front of a camera, and then, man, it is nice to cut loose and just give somebody a high five, like hug a streamer. We need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially now that COVID is, semi over and we can actually be like bump fists and give people handshakes.
Right?
But
Like Stash just randomly tackled me, and that was like my intro. It was like sick, dude. The secret agent is in. Oh man, but yeah,
that was such a
ton of
vibe.
fun.
So why don't we go ahead around and we'll just introduce ourselves. Everybody on the podcast should probably know me by now. I've been here for a while. But let's start with Dub.
Thanks. I'm Dub, head of partnerships over at Soulbound. Been in the space for about a year, content creating now. I've played more than 100 of these Web3 games and created content for them and streamed them. That's what I take pride in doing. I make quests and have fun while doing it.
Yeah, Soulbound's really awesome.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Mind Your Biz.
Oh, all right. So yeah, Mind Your Biz. I go by also Seth. I've been in the blockchain ecosystem since about publishing since about 2018. Do advisory, work with a lot of different teams in cryptocurrency, privacy, and then I do a lot of content regarding privacy and security for cryptocurrency. So my interest at 3XP and at reaching out to GameFi creators and just GameFi audiences is in helping people to be more careful, basically, with what you earn. I mean, imagine all your loot disappearing overnight. People get hacked in Web3 very easily. And so like that's my whole goal. Cause to me, it doesn't matter if you got like whatever, if you're a baller, right? You got millions in old cryptos, or like right now you're just now starting to achieve unlock some achievements in GameFi. Like in a few years from now, you're going to view those two things as the same, and they're held in the same MetaMask wallet. So helping people be more secure, like that's my jam.
Nice.
Awesome. And super important. I honestly just had my wallet drained 2 days before I went to 3XP.
Jeez.
It was rough.
What? Oh.
Feel for you. We'll do a private session and help you prevent that from happening in the future.
Yeah. So we have a little bit of a security section on our podcast, and I'm going to go through what happened to me. It's actually kind of interesting because I thought that I was following all the best practices, but I still got duped. So it was a really sort of clever way that they got me. So we'll go over that and make sure that people don't fall for the same mistake that I did. But on the the plus side is that the long story short, the people that run the project that got hijacked essentially sorted me out. They refunded my wallet. So I mean, that's
Nice.
like big kudos for a project that's able to do something like that for somebody that gets burned. That's super awesome. So thankfully I was made whole shortly before 3XP, which is good because some of the money that got drained was actually prize money that I was going to be using at 3XP. So thank God. All right. But anyways, go on ahead. Ghost Cat, introduce yourself.
I'm Ghost Cat Joypad, just an average Web3 content creator. I like working with a lot of developers to various communities so I can get to know it better. And then when I actually play the projects, I have a really good idea already. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoy making content with Ghost Cat. We like to play games together quite often. We're always vibing. So
Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
a blast, and his tournaments are awesome too, with the, the custom keyboards and all those good things.
Yeah.
Like true things gamers want.
Yeah, Ghost Cat really goes like above and beyond for his community. So I mean, if you guys aren't already following any of these content creators right now, I don't know what you're doing. They're up here for a reason. It's because they're all amazing. But let's get right into it. 3XP, we kind of like we're already talking about it. We were all so busy. I mean, I barely had a chance to walk around and actually go to the booths or play any games or yeah. Um, wait, what?
All good.
Oh, sorry. My mod just shouted out Ghost Cat in my OBS, and I was like, "Where am I hearing Ghost Cat from?"
He's everywhere. No, I feel you. Like I remember when I walked up to you and it was like just chilling against the wall, taking a 5-minute break, and it's you like had the energy for a second. I was like, nah, dude, chill, relax, center. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to call you a noob at conferences, but you might have just been a noob at the conference. Once you do more, you get a rhythm. I did this in sporting goods before I did it in video games, and it's like you put your business all into one day, and you're gaming and you're experiencing the thing into the last day, because that's when the games are all chilling out. They're kind of, the crowds have died down a little bit. You get direct access. Everyone's the peak. There's just so much going on that first day, right? And it's like
Yeah.
the second day is when I went and like took the time to like go and play everything. And it was just like I got to walk up and play everything rather than like wait in line, which is how it was the first day, right?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. So Dub had it figured out clearly, and you were there the day before too, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were like helping set things up, and
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I work directly with a lot of these games and do stuff for them. So of course, like when one of my, I think it was Metalcore was going to set up, and it was like, yeah, you need a hand. Like I'm here to help and hang out with you guys. Got to
sounds
get
like
the whole layout and make the plans too.
awesome, man. What about you? Mind your biz.
Yeah, it's weird the way I do events. Like I do a lot of live events. I go to a lot of conferences, a lot of stage work. And before this one, I'm having to get my story straight here. I was at BTC Miami and hosted by the Karate Combat team. I'm going to be going back to Miami next week to go to their next Karate Combat event. And I mean, he's your national treasure, man. Georges St. Pierre, GSP was there.
Oh my god.
Like really, I'm this guy gets it. Dev gets it. Like
I love Karate Combat, dude. I got to nerd out on Karate Combat for a minute, dude. I haven't voted yet for the next one, and yeah, I'm stoked for it.
Yeah,
Got to
same.
hear
Right?
more about that.
Well, I'm
Oh,
hoping
yeah.
they can do more of a GameFi thing. They've got gaming in terms of like how you can do some betting on outcomes with their token, but like that's not the same, right? They can, I think they can get do a little more outreach with the community if they can start building out a GameFi aspect
Okay.
of what they've got. Because I mean, in football, they've had Madden for forever, right? Like in every other major sport, you've got all these really great, like all these other great video game properties that are built up around them, right? And same with comic book IP. Like it doesn't take long before you eventually get some really good games built up around good comic book IP, but then also sports and now combat sports like UFC and now Karate Combat. Like we should be able to play these characters, right? Like
Right.
seeing them in
that's
real life is fun, but like realistically, you're even at the event, you're like, yeah, I saw the outcome of that fight, and I could have done better. Like I actually could have done better if I was playing a game with you as the avatar, right? So I'm guilty of that thought. Like I'm a huge fan of what they're doing, but I go to a lot of these conferences, and the last one was in Miami for BTC Miami. Prior to that, I was actually in Eastern Europe for an event that was a crypto conference, international NFT conference. That of course, you can't go to an NFT conference that does not have a GameFi presence. It's not a dedicated GameFi event. And 3XP was like
Got you.
such a relief. It was such a breath of fresh air to be like, no, it's entirely about just the community and the gameplay, and then getting direct access to the teams, right? That are bringing all that together. So no, I loved it, but I've got a bit of like a conference motion, if you will, the way down. Like he's there the day before, he does all this stuff. Thankfully, I didn't have to go and set up with a booth or anything. But I've kind of got like my go-to contacts and points, and I pace myself because I've been doing events for a long time. So
Right.
it's really easy by day 3 to be like, holy cow, am I past like a gram of caffeine yet today? Because right, like you're thinking like, okay, I got to get here and go there and talk to these people, and people are handing you energy drinks and coffee and stuff, and like by the end of the day, because just to keep you keep your edge going. By the end
Yeah.
of the day, because you're on your feet and moving from station to station and talking to people, and it's loud, and your voice is all drowned out from
Yeah.
loudspeaker. Every other
Oh
booth
my gosh,
feels like
so
it's a
loud.
good idea to bring in their own DJ and stuff. So you're like, it's like all this stuff happening. So you got to pace yourself, and that's what I did in this one. So a couple of key meet and greets, getting there early before things really start to ramp up, and then kind of like, okay, I've got the panels I'm going to go to and listen, the panels I'm going to go to for speaking, and then we'll hit up lunch with with the family, little
Right.
sidebar with a secret agent stash, right? And then in the speakers lounge and stuff, and then yeah, by the time we get to the evening events and the after parties and stuff, I've kind of got all that planned too. But still, like pacing myself because I know I don't look like it, but I'm actually an old man, so like I've got extra pace. So
Yeah, I feel
I
that
feel
too.
you.
I
Yeah.
mean, I even went to a park for like 30 minutes, like in between, right post conference and into the after parties. Was like, I'm just sitting here and chilling and just getting away from people for a little bit. And yeah, that was my first coffee. Like, I also skip the morning coffee when I'm doing the
Ooh.
conferences. And that's my big play is that once, because for whatever reason, there's always evening coffee options at these conferences. So that's when I hit my, my coffee and it seems to work for me.
yeah. Well, the
Uh,
exhibitors, man, the reason that they do that is because for them, like during the day, it's like it's not work per se. It's just the execution of a conference plan. For them, like the real work, if you will, it all happens after hours. Like they've
yeah,
got the mindset of like, okay, I'm going to finally now I'm going to get to talk to people and let my hair down, so to speak, and get
that's a
to
good
know new
point.
people and scout new talent. Maybe we're going to add somebody to a team over here, or we're going to try to like share some of our team with somebody else, and like you wouldn't believe it how many deals take place like after 10 p.m. at these conferences in some like
Yeah.
crazy bar downtown, not at the trade show.
No, I was picking up on that. I mean, the after parties at 3XP were something else. They were great. But I noticed a lot of networking happening after in the after parties and a lot of connections being made. And I mean, I made so many connections after 3XP. The first day, like that's how I met you, mind your biz. And it was so cool, like being able to just meet. And a lot of the people that I met, like personally, these are content creators in the space that like I've been following for a while, or like I know like by name and be like, okay, I know who this person is just because I've been in the space for the amount of time I have, and being able to actually like connect with them, shake their hand, and be like, okay, name to face. Now this is personal because I personally like I have a really bad time with names. Like I pretty much can't remember people's names, especially when there's someone who I'm never going to meet or I have never met before in person. But then you're making all these connections and you're actually connecting these dots, and it's like, okay, cool. Now I know this person. That's awesome. Um, you talked a lot about panels. You said you spoke on some panels and then you also attended some panels. I didn't really get to spend much time near any panels because I was doing so many different interviews. Um, but why don't you tell me a little bit about the panels that you were on, and then also what panel you were like you had to go see?
Yeah, no. So I'll start with like the highlight for Web3 gaming panels. I was really fortunate to be on a panel with the VP of product at Animoca Brands. So
Oh,
that was yeah, it was super cool. Also, really fortunate to be on a separate panel with a guy named Neil, and he just hit me up on over on LinkedIn. Got to I only ever go on LinkedIn when my email notifies me that like, oh yeah, somebody actually wants to talk to you on LinkedIn, because who's on LinkedIn? Like,
yeah, right.
but yeah, it's there. A guy named Neil Morgan, and he's working on a project. If you remember that old like old charity song, "We Are the World." The
Oh yeah,
tune,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Mentor worked on that. He's doing like a Web3 version of it into the future that has like an AR component to it, so it
Ooh.
kind of fit the show a bit. But it's not gamified per se, other than that there's an AR component to it. But yeah, those were a couple of panels that were a highlight for me, and we talked about not just the current state of gamification of certain kinds of rewards, right, and incentives
Mm.
in Web3, but also from the other side, right, the future of loot distribution and reward distribution in games, and
Right.
yeah, we talked about some of those opportunities, like it. Yeah, just huge highlights to mostly to hear from them, and I'm like, man, I don't know why they keep inviting me out of these panels, but I must be fooling them. Like, I guess I'm doing, I'm just happy they keep inviting me to speak with people like this because I'm over there like taking notes, like, yeah, oh, okay, cool. Hopefully,
That's
they'll
kind
not.
of that's kind of wild to hear because like on the floor, it felt like crypto was like a thing to not even be spoken. And like I didn't even see it anywhere. Like outside of like Immutable's branding on Immutable's booth and like Avalanche's branding on Avalanche, like not a single game explained how they were a Web3 game. They just showed the
Mm.
game, which was a choice, but like it's kind of polarizing hearing how the speeches and all of the talks were all very crypto focused and everything that's going to happen with that, but the show floor crickets on that topic.
That's a good point. So I mean, like, were you able to attend any panels, Dubs? Were you able to
Yeah, we
watch
did.
some or listen to some?
I had one of my founders on a reputation panel with like
Mm.
Team Liquid. Kate was running it. I can't remember. I'm sorry for whoever else was on it. I can't
No
remember.
worries.
I ran in, caught that one, and kind of ran out. So it's interesting hearing what the other topics were for the lectures and
Oh,
how it's because this is my big question was like, where was crypto at
right.
3XP? And I
Yeah.
guess it was in the lectures is where it was.
Well, I mean, like the current climate in Web3 gaming specifically is a little different than even like GameFi, which is I think a little bit more like focused on the tokenomics or like different sorts of value in the value chain. But Web3 gaming is like a subsector of GameFi. They don't like we we hear it all the time on Twitter, all over social media. Don't worry about the Web3, the blockchain elements, about the gameplay. It's about the gameplay. It's about the gameplay. So like all of these games are coming to this event. They're a Web3 game. They have cool ways that they're enabling their game with blockchain, but at the same sense, like that was the vibe that the whole event. It really felt like all of these panels were like, "Hey, well, we can't talk about. Don't say the. Don't say the.
You
Yeah,
don't
right.
have an NFT collection. There's nothing. Don't ask about that.
Yeah,
Don't look at my floor. I'm not into that conversation.
yeah,
I
I don't
mean
know, man.
that
We didn't get the
it,
memo over on our corner. We were we were dropping Web3 gaming and GameFi all day. But
it was seriously like it was like there's a force field preventing those conversations from happening as soon as that like you cross that hallway, right? Like, which is
yeah.
pretty wild. The cooler thing too is talking to all these games who demoed after, the resounding like feeling is that they converted way better in person with their games and in these conventions than they do in all of their online efforts
Really.
so far. So like doubling down on like conventions, I think is really what we're going to see going forward, and especially Web 2 conventions where they are going to just bring the game. I mean, Metalcore did that before with PAX West, and it was hugely successful. So I think everyone's going to double down on that going forward.
Yeah.
I heard a really great phrase the other day that I think kind of applies here, or an analogy. Like if you're playing hockey, you can't chase the puck, right? You got to skate to where the puck is going to be, so to
Right.
speak. And I think with a lot of Web3 gaming, a lot of the developers and the publishers, they're realizing that where the puck is going to be really soon is people who just want to have great experiences, and like you say, a focus on the gameplay, where the rewards, if they optionally want to off ramp them into a Web3 wallet, or if they want to off ramp them maybe even into an exchange or like a yield platform or something for GameFi, where that's going to be something that lives there. It's a native part of the game. because you've developed it as a primitive inside of these Web3 games. So it still is technically a Web3 game, but it's not cool to talk about it, right? It's like where it's all going is just that they're awesome games, and oh yeah, you happen to be able to immutably own everything that you earned inside the game, and own everything, forever, right? Permissionlessly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's definitely the vibe. I mean, like, okay, so and different people feel different about that, right? We have Ghost Cat in here, and Ghost Cat is essentially, I would say, he's a very optimistic person when it comes to Web3, and there's nothing
Passionate.
wrong with that. He's very passionate. He doesn't want to hide it. He loves saying Web3. He loves talking about the technology, right? And like, I think that's great. But at the end of the day, that's like the same as some sort of computer nerd talking about computer parts, and then other people being like, "Well, I don't care. I just want a computer," right? Like, it's like there's always gonna be a space for that. I think where people can nerd out about the technology behind a game, but at the end of the day, we're thinking, okay, what does the end user care about? They just want to press play, right? So same sort of analogy though, right? Going where the following where the hockey puck is going to be is realizing, okay, so we've been building, we're all nerding out about what this tech is all about, but at the end, like 5 years from now, all people want to do is hit install and play. So, that's where it kind of felt like the climate of 3XP was going. And it was really inspiring, honestly. I don't know, I left there feeling very inspired as a content creator and seeing like, okay, gaming is going somewhere that I don't know about you guys, but you have all sorts of people who FUD the market and say all sorts of terrible things about Web3 gaming. It's not gonna last, it's blah blah, it's dying, blah blah blah. But it didn't feel like that at 3XP. It felt very hopeful. It was like, okay, this is real, right?
Yeah, it was like a real like 0 point start, right? I remember talking to a lot of groups and feeling like, okay, like everything else was our preamble, pre-chapter, but like from here, this is like where we're going to look at as the growth starting point. This is where we started from zero with this demo, first players playing it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. First, Web3 gaming expo, conference, convention, really ever.
Yeah, for a first inaugural, I was impressed. I've gone to like very like first ever conferences that just like you could kind of tell where it was like, oh, y'all are on the struggle bus this year, but maybe next year or maybe next quarter or something. And nah, man, this one, like you said, not just the vibe of people saying, okay, we're like you said, 0 point start, but also like just the conference organizers, they had so much just put together, and these are people who were moderating stages and emceeing stages who they haven't done it before either, and everyone was just like just right there, man. Like they knew exactly where to be and how to run a great show, and then be present with everybody else, have the schedule run essentially flawlessly. You knock on wood. Maybe next time around, like they'll be like they'll fumble a little bit, but it was great.
Yeah. Everything really was really on point. And it kind of all leads me, we were talking about the vibe there. It leads me to a question like Web3 community, that was like so tangible there. We were all part of this community, and it felt very Web3 to me, where, I could walk up to anybody and be like, hey, great to see you, great to meet you, like whatever, like Crypto Stash did, just like literally giving people giant hugs and whatever. That felt really, really unique to Web3. And I mean, like you said, I haven't been to that many conferences. The conferences that I went to were like really stuffy, boring, like tech conferences with a bunch of nerds who don't understand physical touch and contact.
I mean,
like,
Web3, man. There is a lot of that. Like I'm not
That's
gonna
true.
AstroTurf or apologize for anybody else, but like it kind of brings out a little bit of autism in all of us, frankly. Like,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's very true. That's true. There was a couple awkward moments where I was like, which okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that. Oh man, it's too much fun.
But what do you guys think about like Web3 community? Anything that stood out to you that you're like, did you notice anything about I don't know. We all build communities around here. And
Yeah. I it's interesting, right? Like I feel like there's three segments. I think there's builders, developers, game operations, there's content creators, and then there's consumers, right? And I felt like those lines were pretty like drawn and shown at 3XP. And then I felt like I saw games like just all embrace each other and like helping each other like lead to one another, but I didn't see content creators unified in the same way. I still saw a little bit of like lines being drawn in the sand and like, this is my, my kind of zone and type of stuff where I saw directly like game devs kind of not doing that yet, even though they all also said like at some point we have to, because there's market share and everything.
that's a good point. I mean, all the games that I interviewed were basically hooking me up with the other person that I needed to interview. But I guess I was so busy just focusing on creating content and interviewing these people that I didn't really notice those lines because I was just head down. But that might have been a reality, right? Like, I definitely saw. Now that I'm thinking about it, there was some like cliques, I guess, with the gamers. There was the esports people, and then there's like more just Web3 general creators, like Mind Your Biz, I guess. I can't imagine Mind Your Biz spent too much time with like Orangey or uh, uh, Bryson. I don't know.
yeah, I didn't, and I regret that honestly. That because that's the opportunity at every trade show is that you have the opportunity to cross pollinate audiences and projects and help each other do the heavy lifting of community management when you bring somebody in, right, for an AMA or something. It's just huge, right? I kind of fumbled that a little bit on this one, not gonna lie, in part because with the Decentral team, I've traveled with them across the United States to so many other conferences. We've got a couple of years of history now, so like it was a little bit too comfortable for me, frankly, and I needed to stretch a little bit to spend more time with like the pure esports side of the event. And it's funny, I threatened to crash the stage when Stash was up there, right, with the broadcast area, right, with all these sports behind. I was like, I just didn't make time to go do it because I wound up getting stopped in the hallways by people who I just know from the pure crypto and NFT side who were like, hey, we got something to talk about here, and I'm like, how am I going to say no to you where I've got this history? And I if you ask me for 30 minutes or an hour of my time, like I feel like I owe that to you. So,
Yeah.
but it's happening. I kept getting stopped by other people who I already knew, and we had other stuff to discuss. And I just, I let myself stay a little too comfortable there in the comfort zone.
That's a really sort of humble observation of yourself, man. Because I mean, like you said, you're all busy and stuff. It's not like you were intentionally avoiding it, but even still, you're able to like notice that and be like, oh man, I should have stretched more. Like that's cool.
Yeah, like
that.
I meant to connect with you, right? And I didn't. And, like I just got to say, "Hey, how you doing?" And then we didn't even, it's just, and maybe that's on organization too. Like I was kind of looking for like okay, let's get everyone who wants to be in a group photo together because of the size of the event, right? And I just didn't see that happening. And maybe that they should have thought of that heading into it. I don't know. Maybe they were expecting more consumers and weren't planning for it to be what it was.
That is definitely true. So one observation I had was definitely that it was a lot more game developers and content creators than it was actual game consumers, like people who play games, which was to be expected, right? But
I mean, I think I was talking to a lot of people the day before, right? And I think everyone was landing around 30 to 40% of the people would be consumer. And I don't think we hit that number,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, that's a reality of certain markets too. So here's the other thing. I mean, I've been at bull market events and I've been at bear market events and just hashtag bear market things, man. Like that, you got to keep doing events to do onboarding for people who are people who are willingly showing up anyway, and also legacy. A year from now, we're gonna look back at some of the media that we produced, like the interviews that you did, Jay, and like the media that we produced and the relationships that we helped to solidify, or the relationships that we just started at that time, and be like, oh damn, yeah, that was worth it. Like in retrospect, we'll be like, yeah, it hit exactly what it needed to. But if you look at just pure attendance numbers and just ticket sales, it'll be like, yeah, a little disappointing, but nah, man, it evens out in the wash. Just have to
The
have a long,
intangibles,
yeah.
for sure. Well, what I want to do is I want to give Ghost Cat a chance to just ask some questions because he didn't get to go. Poor Ghost Cat. Sad day. So I don't know, Ghost
I
Cat.
shouldn't be laughing like this, but I can't help it.
This is your chance.
So
this is your
sad.
chance to live vicariously through us. Any question?
I don't know.
I'm on the spot.
I didn't think of any questions. I didn't expect the tweet I posted to get so many replies. I appreciate and then everyone started using it as a place to like reply to each other too. Like start conversations from it, but it was cool. I enjoyed everyone's stories from that. I don't know. What was your best moment there? Best memory?
Ooh, okay. I got a best memory. So best memory for me was I was just randomly talking to someone, taking photos, and then all of a sudden I hear this like mega air horn siren going out of nowhere. Like it was insane. And I look over and it's Sinjin in his kimono. I don't exactly know what he was wearing, but he was dressed up in his Meiji swag and just wait. And it was a drill with horns on it. I'd never seen such a thing before. And for me, that was like probably my favorite. I still have so vivid in my head.
Literally blasted it into your memory. It's never gonna leave now. Yeah, that was great. I'd be like mid interviewing people and then just hear
yeah, exactly.
There was a booth there with just like air horns for days. I don't know why they thought that was going to be.
It got silenced on the second day. They were told not to use it anymore, and I was so tempted to say, like,
well, it worked. You all remember it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think I only had exposure to that while I was on stage with. I'm trying to think of who it was, because we had some technical difficulties on one of the stages too, where the audio monitors from the stage were turned back kind of towards us, which if you know even a little bit about like live audio, like you're going to get feedback when you got 4 mics on stage and audio monitors pointing right back. So we were already like, whoa, like every couple seconds, not quite like we hadn't quite found the ghost in the audio setup yet, like of where all our feedback was coming from. And then we were hearing that air horn. We were like, God, we can't get like, what's going on here?
Oh man, I can't imagine. That would have been terrible. What about you? Mind your biz. What's your favorite memory of 3XP?
Oh, geez. Well, it's always the people, man. I mean, that is that at the end of the day, like the trade show was nice. They had an excellent build out, and the esports area was like top notch, right? Chef's kiss. Like just last week, I was in Las Vegas and stopped by the is it HyperX? Is their gaming spot that they have in the Luxor? They barely got that new spot inside of the Luxor, which is amazing. And I kind of, visually I walked through it to kind of evaluate their facility there. And I'm like, yeah, we got, this area here to play and that area there. We do live events. And I kind of like mentally I compared the two, and I'm like, nah, man, the event, like they put on a great show for 3XP for esports, especially that area. It compared very well, right, to a venue that is like full time only esports. And so,
Yeah.
like we have all that flash, right, and the pomp and circumstance, right, all the really, cool shininess of the event. It's still just the people, man. Like, so yeah, meeting with you and being able to like add to like the content creator family. Like, it's weird. I'm accustomed at this point to once I meet somebody and I know like you can just tell, right? No, this person's cool. And when we meet up at the next event in like Austin or in New York or in Miami or someplace, like we're
Mm.
gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
And so that was a bit of a highlight for me, was being able to grow the circle a little bit of content creators and know
Totally.
that like stuff like this, doing invitationals for reaction streams and doing invitationals for widening the circle for gameplay, right? Playthroughs and stuff. Like, yeah, I got pretty excited about that. Not to be all mushy or like weird. Like, yeah, so to the audience, yes, I'm literally your uncle trying to give you a life lesson right now. But you know, hashtag dad jokes, right? But for real, this is what drives me, man. We do it for the people, and we do it with the right people, and it's always like at the end of the day, it's about people. So
Yeah, I mean, even for me, like, and I take pride in like knowing everyone already. I made 36 new contacts at this convention, and like 90% of those are games. So it's like it's crazy. Every convention is just that happens, and it's nuts.
Yeah, that would have been. I think I would have liked to have connected with some developers, but I think what I missed out most was like meeting everyone in person that I've already gotten to know and then know more people. But I think
Yeah.
that's what I missed out. Feel like I missed out on most.
I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I kind of feel cool about that, where I'm like this cowboy where it's like, you know, see you later. But like at the same time, like I felt real bad, you know, and wanted
That's a
this
good
like
point.
parting goodbye, you know.
yeah, you walked
Well-
away from the explosion in slow motion. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Badass.
For sure. I mean, like, I think one of the biggest things for me on the last day was like, okay, we got to get to this phase party because, you know, I really want to like, I want to party with all these people that I've met. We had those after parties, the Toga party, after party, and then we also had the Ronin after party.
Ronin, beer pong.
And I made so many connections there. I wanted to be able to like keep that going, keep that vibe going. But by the end of the phase party, I had completely forgot to say goodbye. And then King Apollo and Mike were just like, all right, we're leaving. I'm like, all right, sweet. And I just left. And I was like, oh no. I don't know if I said goodbye to anybody. I was a little bit
I
got
did
a
the
little
same
bit tight
thing.
with
I even
that.
left my backpack there.
You
King
got it
Apollo
back,
blessed
right?
me and made it back for me because he gave it to the team at the Born list, who like came back on the bus and like hooked me up. It was wild.
Sheesh. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, people is definitely it. People was definitely it. What else would it be if it was anything other than that? It was just, but it comes back down to the people, right? Like my favorite parts were actually the after parties, but that was because I got to meet so many cool people.
we just started shooting skits at the FaZe Clan warehouse. Like Sash was like, "Okay, like we got to do something. I got an airsoft gun. Let's go to work." You know.
Oh, I
you know?
saw that. That was hilarious.
Oh man,
Yeah.
So you guys went there. Well, like, what was it like after? Because I've been seeing so much FUD around FaZe and like within their own like groups. So like
They weren't there.
they weren't there. Yeah, but like it's cool seeing that. Like, you see all the FUD, and then you see just you guys just having a blast there at their place.
Live it up.
Like I got there first, like straight up me and Stash were like first off the bus, walked in empty. It was just an empty FaZe Clan warehouse. And it was kind of surreal because we kind of just walked it. And the first thing I did is I went to their conference room and kind of just took a picture of it and was like, okay, if I end up in a room like this, perhaps my decisions aren't the right ones. You know, set it as my phone background, and then went and checked out the basketball court, got on a go-kart and just started riding around, you know, and it's wild. It was surreal. I didn't think such a thing existed that people would spend such money on, but it kind of makes sense. And I'd love to see a Web3 one. You know,
Yeah, takeaway for me.
Mhm.
How do we build that, but like better?
NGG headquarters.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like 2026 or something.
Yeah, you need a market shift essentially to happen, and then you're good.
Well, remind me, what market are you guys in, by the way, geographically?
Geographically,
I'm in California, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
I think they're North American market too.
I'm in Minnesota, but moving to Cali in 2 weeks.
Oh, dude,
Oh, let's go.
who's counting? Jeez.
Sheesh.
It's coming up very fast.
Sweet.
That's amazing. Where in California? Because it's a big place.
Yeah, and that's Bay Area.
California.
Like, all the way from
Wow.
SF. Yeah.
You're just coming to my hood like that, and now I'm learning about this.
Wait, Dub, you're there? I've lived there.
I'm
I've
in SF.
Oh wow, I've literally lived there my entire life up until 2 years. We were here in Minnesota.
We just became that much closer friends.
Damn, Dub.
I know,
Sheesh.
right? Look at us connecting.
Small world.
I love it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm only asking because I mean, headquarters like what we saw at Phase, dude. First off, their HQ is gorgeous, right? Like we were in a reality distortion field for that after party, right?
Yeah,
You got the
Yeah.
go-karts, had the half pipe. I was bummed out because they didn't have any skateboards around, right? So
Oh, dude.
yeah.
half pipe.
I almost
I would
I
hurt
put the
myself so
go-kart
bad.
on the half pipe, and then someone looked at me and they're like, "No, you don't." Come on, please. They wouldn't let me.
I was saying it.
He's up on the coping with the go-kart, like, nah, I'm a grind. Watch. I got this
Watch.
50-50.
Yeah, they wouldn't let it. They didn't need that lawsuit.
Nah, man. But no, just the whole thing, right? I mean, the whole thing was just charmed. That, and I mean, geez, that's the other thing about the after parties. They are trying to give you alcohol poisoning, basically. I don't know if you got the memo yet, but they are literally trying to kill you out there. You gotta that's the other thing you gotta pace yourself on. But
Yeah. Honestly, I'm surprised I didn't black out any of the nights.
Damn. Yeah, I don't
Wow.
drink, so it's super easy for me. I just get water left and right, and it's game on.
yeah, I'm with you there too. That is part of my strategy. It's water or caffeine that time of night. But there, like again, it's this crazy reality distortion field to kind of paint a picture in the mind of your audience. They had this huge kind of like open bar area where they were handing out extremely expensive shots of very fancy bottles that they had opened up. And then over next to like the play area, right? The physical play area, they had a little basketball court and the go-karts and the half pipe and all that stuff. They had this little mini fridge of Ghost Energy, including their exclusive flavors, like the Phase flavors.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was like just all these treats plus a little commissary where clearly, they can like eat some food too and hors d'oeuvres
I
and all
must
that.
have missed the memo on the good alcohol. All I saw were like seltzers and Bud Light and like boxed Costco wine. I was like, these are my options, and I was like, where's like the good stuff?
They- I mean, yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I was, yeah. Some of the crypto creators were they were really trying to, yeah, butter them up. with
Okay, gotcha.
fancy stuff.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
those
I'm
food trucks were OP. They had like 4 of them. I thought we were gonna have more than just pizza. It was like they had a burrito truck ready. They had a pho truck ready. It was like, oh my god, that's a
Cannoli.
life.
The pizza was good though. It was nice to have some good wood fire pizza. It was,
It'd be weird to
It's the
work
kind of-
there, honestly, though. Imagine if that was one of your offices, right? And it's like, hey guys, stop partying. I'm trying to get down to this email or whatever, Like that just doesn't land there.
Oh my god, did you guys see that guy's car get backed into by the bus?
What?
What?
The bus that dropped us off, somebody's car, like he backed right into the fender and just like pretty much took the front fender completely off and then just drove off. And I think it was like one of the people who were like working the event.
Oh wow.
Somebody got
That's
video.
nuts.
I felt so bad.
I hope they
It
got
was
their
like-
insurance.
God damn, like that's rough. And the bus driver did not give a dang. Like he's just like, all right, see ya. Like, oh my god.
Well, that's freaking wild. I was surprised on the gaming setup that they had, because I like turned the corner and like I kind of got my hopes up. I was like, what Web3 game is this going to be that they brought us to play like all together? And then it was
Super
Smash
Smash Bros.
Bros. And like my heart went from like sunk to like, oh shit, like it's Super Smash, let's go, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, well,
Inter-
here's the thing, man. Parties like that too. There's always media. It's a little bit of a letdown, like you said. Like you have these high expectations for it being like whatever, maybe early alpha game or something, or like closed beta that you don't get access to, and then it's Smash Bros. The same is true of like the music, right? You're thinking like, oh, cool, maybe you're gonna get somebody to perform live, and it's like 90s boy band pop. Everybody knows the words, right? So everybody can participate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, like, there was some instances at the phase party where I was like, what are we doing here? Like, there's nothing really going on. I thought there'd be some sort of like DJ or live music but it was just like, okay, we have to make our own fun. And we did, though. That was the cool thing. Like, it took like
Oh,
the
damn,
first
I missed
hour, we
that.
were kind of like, okay, like getting familiar with the place. And then it just like popped off. And it just felt like everyone just started to just make their own fun. So what? There's only Smash Bros. Like, let's go. So what? There's like, what do we do? The Crypto Sash starts making skits and running around with Nerf guns and like the go karts and yeah. I mean, it was really cool just to be able to let loose in a place like that. Coming back to the event, what was your guys' favorite game? We haven't even talked about really which games were there or what was your favorite. So we might as well do that, right?
Right.
Starting with Dub, what was your favorite game?
Shit. To be careful on this one. This is a political decision, damn near.
They're
at this
watching,
point.
Dub. They're all watching.
They're all watching. Honestly, this was like my first time I got to play Wildcard. I've watched over 20 hours of streams. I've watched you play it, Jay. I've watched everyone play it, and like I was very eager to finally play it. So I'm gonna give it to them. Because also I played it. Finn just kicked my ass. I just got stomped. I was like literally just trying to defend my base, and that's all I got to do. And I'm still giving it my favorite game because on top of it, they're like, yeah, this is a 3-month-old build, and there's going to be like even crazier. So I know a lot of games came with like builds they finished the night before. So knowing that they came in with an older build that's tried and true, I'm giving them best game in show because they're obviously behind the scenes is the game that I'm giving that award to, I think. And they're just their booth experience too. Hands off to them. They know what they're doing. Like just literally setting up a little snack shop where they take stickers of their branding and slap it over and say, these aren't Cheetos, these are wild Cheetos. Like that's brilliant. It's just, yeah. So hats off to them.
There you go. What about you, Mind Your Biz?
Yeah, so I had a slightly different outlook on this event too. So again, Uncle Seth is gonna lay it down for our audience. When I can, I go to enough events that when I can, I try to bring the family with me. So I know this is a crazy idea, going to a gaming conference, but I brought children.
Hey, you gotta do it. If you gotta do it.
Yeah, I brought minors on the premises, so they had to, anybody that was serving alcohol, they were like, "Oh crap, we got to hide that stuff." But my kids, I tried to get them to be my agents at this event. I was like, "Hey, you guys tell me what you're naturally drawn to. Tell me you like the gameplay. Tell me like the booth experience, right? That make sure they're doing the right thing." Because like you said before, a lot of people kind of strayed from calling this a Web3 gaming conference and just called it a gaming conference. If that's true, then we need to be welcoming to everybody. We need to meet people where they are. We need to go to where the puck's going to be, right? Skate to where the puck's going to be. And I think that part of that is right inviting everybody who's going to play. So, I had my teenagers on assignment, figure out what you like. They got back to me where they didn't even say it. I just noticed, when I was on stage, like, yeah, you're boring, Dad. You're just talking about stuff. And it's like, because actions speak louder than words. I was like, well, where are they right now? They were at the My Pet Hooligan booth, and they just and they couldn't get enough of it. I'm like, all right, cool. Like they don't need to say anything. They're just proving that the gameplay is there for them anyway.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense because I also took my pet hooligan off my list because I played that build at GDC and freaking loved it, and that was my like GDC best in show. And yeah, I nearly forgot about my pet hoolie.
Yeah, I played the because they're like super expensive on Ethereum. So hopefully your kids don't buy one with your card. Like, hey, look, I got a credit for the game. No, but I bought one of their bots or whatever, and I was playing it a while ago, but it looked very good. I'm sure it's much better now though.
Yeah, it's like Tony Hawk Pro Skater with paintball guns.
Yeah, I love the skateboard in it. I don't know why.
It's a wild really story too when you talk to them, because there's like just one of their devs is just mad passionate about Tony Hawk Pro Skater and just randomly whipped this thing up and it became like a core bit of it.
Yeah,
so it's so cool to see and hear stories like that directly from the team.
Yeah, my pet hooligan definitely, like, it's a game 100%. My only gripes with it is just the access, right? Right now it's very closed down and it's exclusive, and I'm broke ass, so I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be playing your game. But it was cool to see it there and see people playing it, and the gameplay looked fun. I actually didn't even pick up a controller just because I was so busy, but King Apollo was playing it for a bit and he seemed to be having a good time. And I like the aspects that they added to it, like spray painting. You can spray paint stuff. Like, why? But also, like, why not?
Why not?
And you can, like, you're a hooligan, right? So who is a hooligan? They run around with skateboards, breaking stuff, spray painting stuff. Like, I think they nailed that, and it seems like it's gonna be a fun game. I was asking them, like, so are we always just gonna have to buy like a $100, $200 NFT or something like that? And then they're like, no, like, I mean, it's gonna be free to play eventually. So once that happens, I'll play your game.
Yeah, I think it makes sense what they're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, having a publicly open game is super costly, just because of servers, like all of it, everything. Trying to maintain an MAU, like with Web3 and this development kind of process that's getting fleshed out here. It's like you can have a core community through an NFT that is like your true alpha community testers and figure out where to put the best server for them and like all this kind of stuff. And it's super interesting looking back at it now and seeing like what kind of case studies or formulas can come for like future games.
A lot of like new ways to essentially crowdfund a game, right? And that's one of the ways Web3 has really enabled small indie game development companies to be able to build something great like my pet hooligans, right? Even if you think of Wildcard, you know, you can't really play that game. They don't even have a server, which is unfortunate. But they're not there yet, right? They're so early that they're still like they can't even afford to host the game live all the time. Like you have to. They literally had to take their server laptop from their booth to the stage to do the esports event. Like you couldn't do both. But I mean, the game is amazing, and they released an NFT, and they're using that, I'm sure, to help fund development, and eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to actually have it on a server somewhere. But it is definitely a method that is really regular in Web3 gaming, and not something that was discussed openly at these booths, right? Like, is this game even token gated? I don't even know if Wildcard is. Like, they have like the early, that pass thing, the battle pass or whatever that you can buy. Does that mean that you have to have that in the future? Who knows? But that's kind of a tangent for another podcast.
No, I think we're gonna see it from though. You know, I think like in these booths, the next evolution of them is gonna include a little poster that explains the tokenomics or however they want to say it, right? Like that's just gonna at some point they're going to have to, and I think they're just trying their best to get a core indie gamer community. And right now it's like you can't do that with saying crypto because it's just it just doesn't work.
And it's a bear market.
And that.
Maybe it'll go away if we stop saying it. But
yeah, it's a bull market. What are you talking about?
It's a
You guys
lion
see a
market.
market?
What?
Yeah, lion.
Yeah, no, man, totally agree. That was one of the things that we talked about on that one panel with the VP of product at Animoca Brands. Was just so, I mean, and the devil can be in the details, right? Like the way that you choose to frame certain things, especially, man, if you read the like you go on Twitch and search right in the reviews area, search for anything with an NFT or anything that is play to earn, and I mean, you'll never run out of material. If you want to just do reaction videos one day, like just read the negative comments there on the Steam marketplace, and you got a lot of material. So we talked about that on stage about how it kind of makes sense when you're meeting people where they are. Instead of saying, whatever NFT, just say badge.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you got these people who were like 2 seconds ago, they were ready to like literally compare you to Hitler. And now they're like, oh yeah, actually this game isn't that bad. It's like, yeah, I know. A lot of people work really hard on it. Like, you don't have to be so mean.
Exactly.
Yeah. See that all the time. I mean, so last time Bryson streamed Illuvium, it was on front page of Twitch, and I was there, and there's like 6,000 people in the room. They're like, "Wow, this game is so awesome!" All these people are talking about it, and then for some reason or another, one of the founders like that was up there started talking about the blockchain element in the game, and how there was no blockchain element in the game at that point in time, but there would be, and then just so much just toxic dribble all flying through the chat, and then you just watch like the numbers go from 6,000 all the way down to 2,000 in like a second.
Wow.
Like it was like actually very interesting to watch. Just to be like, holy crap! Like there are still a lot of people who can't handle thinking about that when it comes to gaming. And even if the game looks good, plays well, looks fun, the moment they hear that, they just lose interest so quickly. We got our work cut out for us.
It's
Just
normal.
gotta try it. It's funny when I hear people say that the game is bad. I'm like, okay, you call yourself a gamer, but you're not gonna actually play it and test it out for yourself before like judging it.
Right. Yeah. It's like losing in a fighting game and be like, oh, the controller's got sticky buttons. Right. You're just
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's switch controllers then. Oh, now this one's got a bad trigger.
Right,
it's funny because I spent my career in like action sports and watching action sports kind of grow and everything, and I keep drawing like so many comparisons to Web3 because with like when mountain biking came out, right, it was like, oh no, this is too dangerous and it destroys the trails and like all these things, and like it was just a cooler version of biking, and like Web3 is just a cooler version of gaming. And people like are concerned over getting scammed, and it's safety concerns again, right? And it's just so funny because like just take a look at action sport markets and how they've grown, and you'll see the like the path that we're following now.
Yeah, but biking is better, but that's a different topic.
Dirt biking is better. I mean, action sports was like the only thing that I did growing up. And people were like, "What sports do you do?" I'm like, I dirt bike. I play paintball.
Yeah, but looking the history of those sports and how long it took for them to get accepted and be a market norm, and going through their first conferences, and they did all that too. And it's so funny, like just seeing the two, because it's just the same thing. It's just a different game for me.
Yeah. Oh man, it's pretty crazy to think about. So I mean, okay, so favorite games, My Pet Hooligan, Wild Card. I actually loved Wild Card. I really enjoyed being able to sit down with the team and play that game at the event. That was a vibe. So then, if you were to play, this is a question that I was asking my interview, and I found that it was really interesting because a lot of people had a different answer for it, and they really were vibing with it. And I would end out all my interviews asking this question. It was, if you could solve one Web3 problem just by snapping your fingers, what would it be? And I felt like it was a really good, you got a lot of really creative answers because everyone there is facing challenges, right? In Web3. And if I was to ask you guys that, what do you think your answers would be?
I think for me, I would change everyone's outlook. That way, people can go into it with fresh eyes, and they could judge it by the gameplay and what they like, and not the wording or the technology, because they don't understand it. They just know the scams that the big creators were promoting.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, fixing the one big pain point. I mean, for me, I don't know, man. I look at it from a slightly different lens. For me, I kind of kicked the podcast off talking about how, you know, it's always security and privacy. Like you talked about getting having a wallet swept by bad actors. So, like, I think the one thing, like, if I could snap my fingers and just make something disappear, it would be like getting people when they are getting involved in GameFi and Web3 gaming, when they're ready to like off ramp their earnings and start custodying these things from themselves, taking the security side seriously. Too many people have like whatever they've got a MetaMask, no hardware wallet, 12-word seed phrase, and they're like whatever storing it on their Google Drive or something.
Yeah.
In a file that literally says like MetaMask seed phrase. Like, dude, you're not long for this world, or your riches aren't anyway. So like, so yeah, if I could just snap my fingers, it'd be like, okay, impress upon people that this would be like not securing. There it is.
Shit.
Yeah, just impressing upon people. This would be like not securing your online banking credentials. Like, what do you have to do to make it more real for people? Like, if I could snap my fingers and just make them understand that, that's what I would change.
That's a really good one. I mean, people, I think, in our day and age are so used to not having to take responsibility for their own security in everything, right? The banks cover your financial security. Government handles so many other parts of your security. The internet is way more secure than the wild, wild west of the early 2000s, right? So used to it now that we don't think about it. And in Web3, it's the new frontier. So there's all sorts of ways that bad actors are able to get in there and cause a ruckus. What about you, Deb?
I've been flipping coins in my head for a bit. First, I wanted to like just fix user acquisition problem, but then I stepped back a little bit. For me, this is going to be weird, but I would put everyone on the same team as far as a chain goes. I would, like, if I could snap a finger and put everyone on the perfect layer 2 or layer 3, whatever it is for gaming. Because right now I think the multitude of layer 2s and layer 3s is creating just more like teams and lines kind of drawn in the sand. Which competition competition can be good, you know, for sure, and it does like ultimately make everything better. But I feel like if this was all behind Xbox, or if this was all behind PlayStation, like we'd have a stronger, immediate, easier life and impact in this market than we're struggling through today. But then again, like maybe this struggle is what's going to make us even doper in 5 years from now. So, yeah, my head's all over the place with that question.
Yeah, I never think about that actually. How many chains each game is on?
Oh, there's there's like 20 more down in 2 months, so don't worry.
No, don't say that.
Think about standardization and the benefits that has across all different industries. Like, okay, in maritime, there's so many different, like, there's one standardized sort of code essentially for a whole section of ocean. So all the boats built in that area will abide by the same amount of rules. It's the same thing. So in blockchain, it would be really nice to at least have some sort of like standardized rules about how the blockchain interacts with the game, or like there's some sort of like standardized bridge that, regardless of what blockchain you're using, it all connects to a certain API that talks to the game. And so then at least, the games can just build the game and know all I need to do is build this specific API, and regardless of what blockchain is used, I can, that's something like that. So that it's just easy and standardized. But right now everything's ad hoc. It feels like everything's just, people are just shooting from the hip, making all sorts of different integrations and tech and stuff like that. And with that's definitely going to come so much headache and rivalry. And so like on top of just how do we manage this alphabet soup of text or tech, but how do we get along and not, my blockchain's the best. Solana,
I mean,
Maxi over here, Ghost Cat.
yeah, it's weird. They're all targeting people differently too. Like right now, my head's really looking at Avalanche in the like way they view that they present a very premium offer, and then look at Sui or Solana where it's like, nah, you build here and you're indie. You build your stuff, you make it, you build your community. That's you want to come in booth, go booth, have fun. But Avalanche is like, oh well, wear your red, sir.
Yeah.
So just that, right? It's interesting. And what kind of communities are they going to build around that? And like, yeah, it's weird. It's interesting.
It's tough though, man. So yeah, as far as the sort of the holy wars of layer ones, right, out in the sort of protocol holy wars, like how are you going to tell them like, yeah, you're what's the quote? I'm going to murder this quote because I think it's is it Henry Ford. It's hard to get him in to understand something when his paycheck is dependent on him not understanding it. So like how are you going to tell somebody like, oh yeah, actually you do get pretty high performance from a Solana or a Sui or some of the other like the sort of new school designs that are not based on the EVM, your avalanches and polygons and stuff. Or how do you get somebody to decide like, oh yeah, maybe it doesn't, Polygon has this really great VC arm and they might give you some capital to get your game launched, but they don't have a couple of those token standards that you needed. Like they've only just been able to port like reliable token standards for NFT creators this last year. So of course you didn't have the NFT community all on board with Polygon at first, even though the gaming community was thinking, cool, low fee transactions. So maybe we should start like having some of our game interactions, right? Of our commits to chain. Maybe that stuff should be on Polygon. So I mean, you have all these different, like you said, like there's not feature parity across all these chains, but you have so many people who are super invested in them, literally invested in them. How do you tell them like, nope, sorry, your $10 million investment in the last 5 years of your life, that's all a lie. You don't need that. Like that's not important. And we know you already shipped like your beta that was doing this thing. Like how do you even get people to reorient when they're so heavily invested? And then worse, when they're so heavily invested and in some cases so heavily leveraged. And then they're like, yeah, this last quarter, though, we finally got traction and we did a 5X. How are they going to move now? Right? Like, how are you going to get them to make any changes now? They feel like they're on top of the world, right? So yeah, it kind of adds to the confusion when you have so many, just the incentives don't align financially.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like that's one of the biggest factors I think in the tribalism that we see in Web3 that's quite unique to the Web3 and communities is a financial factor. Uh, Like, how do you not, you know, sort of beat your chest, so to speak, about a project when your your entire you could have a huge amount of your finances invested into it, and like with that comes your ego. You're investing yourself into this project, and people's egos. Uh, that's one of the human flaws. The characteristic human flaw is the human ego. It always gets in front of ourselves and makes us trip up. So I mean, that is a definitely huge problem, though, right? Like, if you could snap your fingers and just make it so that everyone was like all in one place and they didn't have to worry about feeling like their security is being threatened by a different blockchain or a different technology, then that would be nice.
Yeah, but things being what they are, it's like it goes so much farther beyond just like, oh yeah, you can't sway me to change. It's like it isn't good enough for me to like stay in my lane and focus on building my thing. I have to actively FUD somebody else that's working
Right.
really hard. And it's
Yeah.
products on time. Like
Yeah.
it's so messed up. Like
Yeah.
you're saying, it's such a unique Web3 thing, and it's kind of it's a tragedy that it's extended into Web3 gaming. That like you're almost punished for having some level of success and having a community and people that actually care about what you've made. And of
Yeah.
course, like 3, 2, 1. Yep, somebody just showed up to completely like crap all over what your life's work.
Yep. That happens all the time. It's almost like they're paid to do it.
Oh,
Yeah. Anyways, this was a good chat. I mean, like we definitely talked about 3XP. We talked about what we liked. We vibed about the parties, games we saw. Talked about some community things. We talked about how we were all getting along, and now we're just finishing out really talking about what problems we could solve. And I feel like we kind of nailed that. I mean, our podcasts usually only go for about an hour and a half. So it's like an hour and 22 minutes. I feel like we've kind of coming to a close here. So, final question would be: do you guys have anything else you want to say? Parting words?
Yes. Nike swoosh.
Yeah.
Where did they come from so quickly? It's crazy. I'm kind of a sneakerhead. But I like stopped going on the sneaker app because I took too many L's,
Mm.
But
And now
I
you're back.
missed an email like to get my code and to set up my account early so I can get one of their NFTs. And I'm so mad at that. I'm so mad that I did not read that email.
Yeah, they come kind of out of nowhere. I mean, I heard about them before I was at 3XP, and people were like fudding it so hard. It was kind of
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I mean, yeah, Nike has been in my radar for a very long time, and just seeing them do this, it was like it's so clear that they're mimicking the template and platform from what happened with Artifact without Artifact. Well, kind of with them, but without them. And where they're going to go from this is just like it's just hilarious watching people. Yeah, I mean, I signed up right away. Like, I would have waited like 12 hours in front of Nike headquarters or whatever for the drop kind of situation. I made sure I was over it.
Yeah,
So-
they have a lot planned for their collection. The utility, if you go to their here, I'll share their website with you, Cluster. But like if you look under their utility in their gallery, like there's a lot of stuff they have planned. And then they have like they teased their Fortnite collab on the 20th. And I don't know if that means integration of this collection to use in game. Like
Yeah, so
like
they
is it like I
They
don't know,
just
man. I can't because they didn't
they
like
did
say like use the shoes in the game. They
well.
have the
Have you heard
Oh,
about the shirts yet?
I'm not cool enough. I'm
no.
Canadian, so
They started, so the way Nike drops this information is really smart too, because it actually comes directly from sneaker outlet media sites. So if you're watching like Complex Con or whatever sneaker news you're looking for, they're all dropping articles today about t-shirts that essentially are Fortnite and Nike collab fidgetals that you'll be able to buy the physical one and then also wear that in Fortnite.
Uh,
Whether or not those will be on chain is not determined yet, but it's super interesting because if it's not, they have a mix of an offer that they're throwing at people and letting the consumer make the choice. Do you want to wear the shoes? You better be on chain. Do you want to rep the shirt? You don't have to be. So it's going to be, it's super wild, and it's like it's wild to me because the information's literally out there. They don't hide it. They distribute it. It's just people
yeah,
don't
right on their
put the
website,
lines
it's like
together.
the homepage is yeah, trade, collect, flex. I mean, the sneaker community is huge. I mean, just getting stickers of a specific shoe is crazy. So like,
Yeah.
I imagine they didn't get a lot of FUD for this, like from their community, because there's a lot of collectors out there.
It invigorated me to go buy the physical pair matching the digital pair that I revealed last night, because it's a reference to past Air Forces. And like I found it on eBay in my size for $100. And it was like, oh, it's worn and everything, but it's like, hell yeah, like
Yeah.
I can have these physical LA colorways and a digital one. Like, why not? Like this,
there you
this
go.
is what it's all about. So yeah. Otherwise, for my 3XP, I've been meaning to shout out this team the entire time. I do want to shout out the Nemots because I absolutely loved their booth. They're grabbing on to their flavor, their marketing, their branding, and they're going full
Nostalgia.
spin with it. Yeah, nostalgia, 90s nostalgia is the way I look at it. And growing up from that era, like so many tugs at my heartstrings, and like the team is super nice. Like I just can't say enough nice things about the Nemots, and I've been trying to figure out how to say it, and I'm glad I
Gotta
got to
sneak
say
them
it
in.
now as my closer. Is I gave it to the Nemots.
I wish I could have seen that live. I love that theme cluster. Obviously, I love that theme.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, that's really cool. I've been hearing a lot about the Nemots. I gotta try it.
yeah. We're gonna play it. We will play it together, Ghost Cat.
Nice.
You?
Yeah, so I guess closing observations from 3XP is that there were a lot of projects that were not present that for me was a little bit of a shock, right? And who I would think, because I saw some of them at NFT trade shows from New York to LA to Miami to everywhere else. And so I was a little bit shocked that they didn't make it out to 3XP. So there was an opportunity there for them to have this very targeted trade show where they could be right next to, maybe not competitors, but just other people in the space. And like you said, bear market vibes, they would have had this really great support from other builders.
Yeah.
So yeah, my thought there was like there were a couple of projects in particular. I'm gonna just call them out: WAGMI Games and Wagyu Games. They've done phenomenal work. Where were they? Right? Like,
Yep.
and I mean, these are people who I'll give an open mic on my channel. We've hung out in Denver, also ETH Denver. They were both at ETH Denver, so I'm like, man, you guys, it would have been great to see them there. And
Yeah, I reached out to WAGMI and was like, "Are you guys gonna be there?" They said no. So actually, I was there, kind of helping them out. I was walking around, just like playing WAGMI games with people. Like, hey, do you want to play a game with me? And I was giving out ETH to anybody who wanted to play WAGMI
I
with
thought
me.
they were there because I saw a bunch of posts about it. Like,
Yeah, it was because I was there, like being their little mascot. But
damn.
no, they
I
didn't
gotta
have a
give you a
booth.
personal thanks because I thought they were there because I saw everyone like pictures of them playing it on their phone or posts about winning and
Yeah, there's
And
more video content coming out soon.
they worked
Actually,
in a street team game. That's what that was.
yeah, Yeah, but you're right. I mean, like there were some games that was like, come on, man, like this is like your time to shine. I thought, but I'd also second that and say there was also like so many missed opportunities from esports organizations to Web3 gamer collectives to like there was a lot of different areas that could have been represented there that I felt were like missing. So metaverse projects,
Yeah.
right? Like there was, yeah. So I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, they even passed on GDC this year. It's interesting watching the change in that topic specifically.
Yeah,
Yep.
going back to earlier, the comment about like, why do we do this during a bear market? And you said like the attendance was, seemed like a mismatch. I mean, people remember when the going gets tough, they remember who's still building. They remember like even though maybe even marketing budgets are a little bit lean, I'm sure the event organizers would have worked with these teams to make sure there was some level of presence, even if that just meant like being on a panel on one of the stages, as
Right.
opposed to having like a booth presence or whatever else. And because that's an affordable way for all of these projects to have presence at these events, and then join members of the community and influencers like you, Jay. Like when you're doing a bit of a street team like marketing motion for them and getting people to vibe with you and play the game, like get exposure to the game right there on the trade show
Yeah.
floor. When you have somebody right there with you, then and especially right like with Ian and the team, like in the cool cosplay that they had built for New York, like
That's so cool
dude,
cosplay.
it would have been so dope to see Scott in the
Yeah.
cosplay there, right? Walking the trade show, even if they didn't have a booth, it would have lit the place up. So yeah, knowing that there is some kind of like getting more of these projects involved on that level, and keep reminding the community that like, yeah, maybe our marketing budgets are lean, but we're still out here, we're still building. That
Yeah.
was big. Yeah, my big takeaway at the end. I'd love to see more of that.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's a good takeaway. You guys, I really appreciate you guys all being here. It was a vibe. This is exactly kind of what I wanted to do. I was just like kind of feeling almost, sick because I miss 3XP. It's been a week and I'm like, ah man, all I want to do is talk about 3XP. So I really appreciate you guys coming on here and like help me like reminisce a bit. Before we head out, if you guys want to drop your socials so we can make sure anybody from across the different channels knows where to follow you, that would be cool. You drop it in the private chat and I'll just toss it in the global. That would be good. Right. A dub is a dub everywhere.
Yeah, and I'm Mind Your Biz everywhere, but let me just to keep it easy, I'm on Beacons. That's what I use instead of Linktree. So
Yeah, smart.
I'm Ghost Cat and Joypad on everything.
Cool. Yeah, well that's good. Thank you guys for being here once again. And there's so many more conferences coming up. Ghostcats just posted this one for Solana. Solana Play GG. It's in a month, guys. What the heck? And then
Yeah.
I know there's one in Denver.
I'm
We're
80%
Evo.
going to that one, so
Bet I'm
You
going
going to
if
this
you're
one?
going.
yeah.
Whatever it takes,
Because
baby.
I'll be in California, so I was telling Owl, I was like, we should go because we're gonna be there, and my two favorite games that I always shill for are gonna be there. So
Love
man,
it.
there's an event coming up end of July that is it's more like a Web3 and crypto private mixer for developers and for like for business development people. But dude, these are the events that Web3 and gaming people need to be at. The private
Yep.
stuff, right, where we don't have the cameras running and it's more about like literally just the
Yep.
relationships.
Mm.
So I'll share that offline because I mean, just bubble it up to sponsors. Make sure that your people are there because it's going to be foundation room at the Hard Rock in Las Vegas. Not messing around.
Nice.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Oh my god, I'm already feeling so much FOMO.
Yeah, just wait till you see me in Japan Blockchain Week. Then I'll show you
Oh my
FOMO.
God.
Mind your biz. Just can you FaceTime all of us while you're there?
Yeah. You can be our guy on the inside.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's find someone to raid out to. I gotta figure out how to raid. How do I raid? Can I raid?
Do we each have to raid on our own channels?
Yeah.
Okay.
it's
Well,
just-
I don't think there's anyone I could raid to right now on Kick.
Yeah. I
Is King Apollo alive?
did the.
Oh,
full-
is he on Kick?
I tuned into
I
all
know.
multi Twitch. I can't raid.
Yeah, I don't really know how to raid on the WTM podcast today, just because King Apollo usually does that. But I
This
will
one's
raid
like
on my channel.
I'm raiding in spirit.
All right. Thank you guys again for being here. You guys are all legends. And yeah, that's it. We're gonna close out. So see you guys later.